Hi, Tommy Curran. How you doing?
How are you, fellas?
Doing well. How are you? What's going on? What's new in the Tommy Curran verse?
Everything's great. Had to take an hour off. Middle son actually passed the bar exam. He was sworn in as an attorney today, so we're an hour late. So thank you for asking.
Well, that's tremendous. Bravo.
Got his mom's brains,
Passing the bar. That's not an easy thing to do. That is congratulations to all on the first try too. Congratulations to all the Currans. That's great. Let's get into absolutely. Let's get into the Patriots here. This report that has come out. I believe it was Breer who had it. You've heard Ted Johnson and others comment on it on your network, Tommy, and that is the idea that the Crafts are looking outside the organization for help on how to develop and foster their rookie quarterback. What do you make of the idea that the Crafts are doing that, and what does that mean for people like Drake Maye and people like Alex Van Pelt?
They are doing it, and I think that's the due diligence you should engage in when you watch your young quarterback who's the third overall pick, and you understand, as Robert Kraft has said to me, coach and quarterback are the two things that you need to succeed in the league, period, end of story. So if that's the case, and you think you have a keeper in Drake Maye, which on many levels I think they do, he's going to have worse days, he's going to have better days, but he's always going to be a very stable guy, I think. Again, 22, but from what I see, a very stable person. He's going to be here for the rest of the decade. Lord willing, it seems. So you want to make sure that the network around him is as good as it can be. We understand that the Patriots blew things up with Bill in moving him out and really didn't have a succession plan in place because they did it a year earlier than they anticipated because of the results of 2023. So if Alex Van Pelt was not your first pick or second, third, or fourth, and you've hired him, you should, as the end of that year comes, right now, say, what do we want to do going forward? Is this guy who was our fourth or fifth pick the guy that we want to stick with? Are the receivers coach where we want them to be? A tight ends coach? What about the overall quality control? Is Gerard doing the job that we think he should be? So I don't blame the Crafts in the least for trying to maximize around him. But I think it's inescapable to look at the job Alex Van Pelt has done with Drake Maye specifically and say he hasn't done a good job. You guys were just talking about it. What was the number one job this year? Developing Drake Maye. And it's funny, I was listening to some people talk about Maye yesterday and on a rival station, and they said that they hadn't really seen a difference between the Maye of North Carolina and the Maye of now. And it was unanimous as they had their conversation. I'm like, what are you looking at? He is vastly better than he was. He was one of the most, no, I shouldn't say that, hyperbole. He was a fairly inaccurate quarterback last year at North Carolina at times. Missed easy throws. His footwork wasn't great. He would open up for no reason. He would seek off platform throws. And you just don't see, he's one of the most accurate, if you look at the analytics, one of the more accurate throwers in the league right now, at least in the top 10, with some very good company. So he has developed, but I do think the Crafts, ownership, anyone involved should be saying, are we doing the best thing for the kid?
So, Tom, and include names if you'd like, but just be vague if you would prefer to be that way. But who would they be asking? Are we talking about, like, owners, GMs, coaches, media, young quarterbacks,
ex-coaches?
It could all of the above. I mean, would you – well, probably not Bill. But,
Not him.
You know, guys who have been around this team, guys who have been around the league. You have a network, I would imagine, of owners, GMs, coaches, people you've worked with in the past. You know, Bill O'Brien, I'm sure they're on decent enough terms with him. Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels, anybody who would look at it and say, look, these are the things that I would be thinking of. These are the things that you could probably do better. These are the things that I like. I would think that would probably be the realm in which they would go. I haven't specifically heard from direct sources as to who's been called, what's been said, anything like that. But I do know that it's something that they are doing it, and I think that they should do.
In the event that they're trying to foster a better environment for him, I think the biggest complaint that people have, and this is, fans that call the show and things like that, Tom, but I think the biggest complaint people have is less so with the coaching and more so with the supporting cast that Drake Maye has to work with on a weekly basis. Isn't that more of an Elliott Wolf issue than it would be a Van Pelt or Gerard Mayo thing to call around about?
Yeah, and I think we're defaulting to, it's a very good point, but I think we're defaulting to Alex Van Pelt, and if they're talking about what's the network of people and support we should have for this player, it doesn't necessarily have to be blow the offensive coordinator out.
Right.
It could be, well, should you explore trades for wide receivers? Since good wide receivers the best wide receivers don't hit the free agent market. We're going to see this in March. It's going to happen again. The best wide receivers on the market are probably going to be like Chris Godwin, who's a very, very, very good player, who's got a blown out leg right now. And you're going to have to make a decision. And I just threw that out there. I'm not even sure he's a pending free agent. He may be, though.
He is.
But, so it's going to be what do you want? What do you prioritize? Do you prioritize scheme? Do you prioritize the relationship between the player and the coach? Tom Brady and Charlie Weiss had a great relationship. And it maintained all the way through with all the other offensive coordinators. Is May, at this point, sold on Alex Van Pelt? It kind of sounds like he is. Same thing with Mayo. So maybe the attention is more on personnel, as you pointed out, because that really is it. To me, it's personnel, quality control, and coaching.
What are
those three things?
Oh, you did one of those pauses again. He
nailed you with that one.
Son of a.
I know.
How did you what'd you think of the leadership evolution that Drake Maye took last week? First in the everyone telling us that he stepped up in practice, didn't like what he saw. And then even I would say to some degree, we got a little visual of him mic'd up in the Patriots video, the locker room, going up to every lineman. Certainly seems like, you said it earlier, he's 22 years old, but in terms of leadership, it seems like it comes kind of naturally to him.
It's weird, too, because some guys can do that, and it doesn't look natural. It looks artificial, or like, well, I'm supposed to do this, so I'm going to do it.
Right.
There was something about Matt Patricia slapping helmets before every game with every player that just always smacked him. And players love him. Yep. I talked to Chris Long today. He swears by Matt Patricia. Mayo, all those guys. They love the guy. But I just always thought there was an angle behind it. And I just don't think that Maye has a greater angle. He wants guys to play well with him and for him. Matt was kind of an angle guy. It never struck me, and I don't think he meant to be. But there is, even when Maye stands there and explains that it's my role, it's part of my job to do that, and he goes and does it. I think he has probably been doing it since he was in 7th grade. Probably, and I'm not saying other guys didn't, but he's just such a natural football player to me that I think he's not self-obsessed. And I think that sometimes quarterbacks can be. And we hear him talk about some of the mistakes that he makes, and he doesn't lose his mind over them. It's kind of they roll off his back. Like that throw last week against the Bears, I think it was Van Pelt said today, that's a tuba player throw. It should hit the tuba player.
Correct.
And Maye said the same thing. Hey, I have to throw. I was trying to throw that out of bounds. Didn't do a very good job. But he didn't lose his mind over it. And his teammates picked him up defensively. They didn't score off of that, the Bears. So it's moving in the right direction, incrementally for a bad team, but moving in the right direction.
All right, time now for the Flex of the Game, presented by FlexCar. Ditch the dealership and save thousands with FlexCar. Rams in town this weekend, Tommy. What is the Flex of the Game?
Flex of the game is the Patriots have to flex up and bow up on defense the way that so many teams have against the Rams. Rams are 31st in the NFL in yards per carry. So they don't generate much. They're under 100 yards per game on the ground. Now, the Rams going to come in here and go, everybody runs on these guys. I don't care what happened last week. Everybody runs on these guys. They probably will, because they probably have designs on a playoff berth. So if the Patriots can stop the run, if they can flex against the run, that's good news for New England.
Can they carry that defensive effort against Chicago? And I know that probably had more to do with Chicago than the defensive front here, but is that something that can carry over on a week-to-week basis, do you think? Will they have confidence and momentum from that coming into this game?
I think they will. I think they did a much better job on some of the particulars, setting the edge with Keon White and Anthony Jennings did an excellent job of it. I thought Tavai had a good game. Marcus Jones and the edge tackling was really good. I thought Marcus Jones had a great game. And the safety play, Del Pettis continues to be a player who's rising, same with Mapu. So, but you're going to go against a coach in Sean McVay and a veteran quarterback at Stafford who's going to look at it and go, okay, see this? Yeah, it's like a 9-man blitz. They're not going to run that against us, so we'll shred them. So they're going against the system and a scheme that is well established, that has an app for everything the Patriots are going to try and unveil. So they're going to have to be fundamentally sound against the Rams, who are not exceptional up front right now. So do the Patriots roll the dice and say, we can outsmart McVay or we can overwhelm Stafford and get to him? Or do they sit back and play coverage more often?
That is the voice of Tommy Curran, NBC Sports Boston, quick slants, etc. Tommy, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again on Sunday for sure, and again next week as well.